You did a pretty good job, too.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get into the notes here. It says, alrighty, Moncton, what the hell is going on? Ça va les guys, ça va les filles. I'd like to take some attendance before we get started here. Do we have any arsenos in the crowd? Est-ce qu'il y a des babinots? Par chance. OK. Des blanchards? OK. We have 3 for 3. Est-ce qu'il y a des commiers? Yeah! Okay, I don't need to do LeBlanc, so let's keep moving here. First of all, I would like to point out that I have been a Moncton defender my whole life.
Woo!
Okay? People in New Brunswick and elsewhere like to take shots at Moncton, but I believe these people to be fools. I especially love when some ding-dong from Nova Scotia saying something along the lines of, oh yeah, Moncton, the arsehole of the Maritimes, or something to that effect, and I'll say, my good friend, you are from Yarmouth. You have absolutely no business making fun of Moncton. Someday, if you're lucky enough to live in Moncton or Bedford, Nova Scotia, we'll look to hear from you then. But until then, shut the fuck up. We love Moncton here. We love it everywhere. So let's give a round of applause to you guys. So yes, I am no Moncton hater. Some of my best friends are from Moncton. Okay, now it sounds like I'm trying to defend myself against racism accusations. But I assure you that is not the case. I spent some time here as a kid playing hockey, and when I was in university in Fredericton, I met some of my best lifelong friends who called Moncton home growing up, and I'm very grateful for those people. Not a joke. It's got Evan's notes here mixed in with mine. Very professional, Mr. Smith.
Sorry, Mr. Bat.
Now, some people say that my hometown of Fredericton is snobby.
Woo!
I disagree. For example, the caviar that I had just before coming to this event was absolutely garbage, but I didn't say anything. So how could I be snobby? I held my tongue. I definitely remember playing hockey against some top hockey players around this area. I remember one last name in particular. This little kid, Lockyer was his last name. Spelled like Lockyer, but pronounced Lockyer, I think. This kid was a ringer. There's another one named Lucas Martin, or Luca Martin. Though I doubt that really narrows it down for any of you. I imagine each of you have multiple Luca Martins in your phone right now. I was also sort of perplexed by the notion that the AAA team in this area for the longest time was Louisville. Not Louisville, but rather Louisville, and not Moncton. Louisville. It was as if they were doing their best to confuse us and pretend that they were not the team from Moncton. This is what I believed, and still kind of do. As Frederictonians, that was fine. We were going to win anyway.
Whoa!
Until we absolutely didn't. The Hawks, or the Flyers, which were the teams from this region, were insanely good hockey players and would routinely take us to the cleaners. That's fine. At the end of the day, I have a favorite story, one of which Evan and some other people in this crowd potentially have heard 1,000 times. I played against Sidney Crosby growing up. Yeah, that's the reaction I'm looking for, actually. That's not what I hear when I tell people that in a bar. every night that I go to a bar. I played against Crosby in the Atlantic Provincial PB Championships, which was great until we lost in the final game. In fact, we weren't even supposed to be there. We had actually lost the tournament leading up, which was the Provincials. But we were the hosts of the Atlantic, so we were present regardless, which was wicked for us and shitty for others. But instead of earning our way into the tournament, we were instead team host. I remember when we beat Team New Brunswick at that tournament, which is a team from St. John called KV, or Kennebec Cases Valley. And we it was our way of like sending a message to them like, okay, we have no business being here, you have no business being here. And we beat them 9-1. Obviously this has had no effect on me. and was definitely not my glory years. And it's not been downhill ever since. But the next game was the real showdown. It was Fredericton against Team Nova Scotia, or the Cole Harbour Red Wings. Now, they did the same thing that y'all did here with Louisville. Cole Harbour was the Halifax team. So you didn't see them coming when they were on Cole Harbour, but it was Crosby and co. The captain of the Cole Harbour Red Wings was this little shit named Sidney Crosby. Most of us on our team knew who he was. We had gone to hockey school with him in Prince Edward Island. He was a nut, a superstar. Our coaches had already told us that he was going to the NHL. How do we know? We asked them. We just do, they said. He had a team of people working around him. And they were right, he did. He was going to be pro, and he did end up in the NHL. The fucking bastard. But I remember when I played against him this one game at the LBR in Fredericton, this final game, Fredericton versus essentially Halifax. My coaches put me out. I was the third line center. My job was to go out against the other team's first line, just to shut them, not try to score or do anything important like that. Just go out and be annoying and make sure the other team's first line couldn't be too effective. But the only thing I saw the whole game was the back of Crosby's jersey, including the one shift I played against him in overtime. When I came off, the puck had just gone down the ice to our goalie. Our best defenseman went to retrieve the puck, and our goalie went down. It went over to one of their defensemen and back over to Crosby, who had a fully open net in overtime. You can imagine what happened next. Young Sid absolutely buried the puck on us, and the rest is history. How long have I been talking about this? Let's move on. I am indeed a Frederictonian, but I moved to Montreal around 2005 or 2006. This is how old I am. I'll give you a little story as to why I moved to Montreal. I was kicked out of university residence for marijuana possession. Not smoking it, just having a single joint behind my ear. This was obviously years before Daddy Trudeau swooped in and declared marijuana legalized in 2018. No, this was the good old days in 2005 when a single JJ could have you leaving the province. And that's exactly what I did. I now live an hour north of Montreal in the Laurentians, and it's sort of all came to be as to why I'm here now. January of 2023, my friend Zach Atkinson asked me if I wanted to perform at the Shivering Songs Festival in my hometown of Fredericton, New Brunswick. I'd never done this before when I was asked to do it. So I had obviously been running the account for a bit, but I was very scared to take it to the next. I didn't think this would ever be my reality. I was like, no one's gonna fucking come to that. And now I'm in this beautiful theater, and anyway, so it's all very moving. Don't cry. To do this for the first time, I thought, okay, if I actually wrote a show, I might be able to do an hour on stage. And long story short, that's how I've become here in front of you tonight doing this account. But since November of 2023, I've been doing it as a full-time job. Yes. It says in my notes, hold for aggressive applause, which you did. I've recently had some very kind followers bring their parents to some shows, and while I've done events in Dartmouth, Toronto, Peterborough, Hamilton, Ottawa, Montreal, and St. John's, Newfoundland, it's kind of worried me regarding the parents. Do they know why they're here? So with that said, if you're not really sure what's going on with tonight, or if you don't follow my account, first of all, what the hell are you doing here? But secondly, may I quickly just say that I run a Canadian history type Instagram account where I deliver little vignettes on pieces of Canadian arts, culture, music, history, etc. I take little elements of our past that interest me, and either by way of the account or the live show, I give my unsolicited commentary. But since starting this account in 2017, I've amassed over 80,000 followers. Woo! And it's been nothing short of a wild ride. A lot has happened since my first ever live show. Most importantly, I married my beautiful wife, Allison. Woo! And we ditched our Montreal apartment last November to move permanently to our cottage an hour north of the city of Montreal that we bought during the pandemic. This was all a move allowing me to, financially, allowing me to quit my day job to do this account. So we had to sort of drop the apartment, move up to the country, and who knows, maybe in a couple years, the admin will be back home in the Maritimes. We're working on it.
Louisville.
Yeah, invite me to Louisville. Or Cole Harbor. Fuck both those places. No, just kidding. I didn't mean that. Okay, allow me to get on with the show. That's enough about, me for now. Let's get into the slides. This is a late addition to the slides. This is me spotted at a Montreal Canadiens game on the CBC Hockey Night in Canada broadcast. There I am doing what I do best, drinking an oversized beer. I get a kick out of this. This is the first show this has been a part of. I'm having a good time seeing it this large. The most pixelated picture of myself, like 30 feet by 30 feet. Okay. Here's my biggest accomplishment to date, being in the Globe and Mail. This was a big deal for me and for my mom and dad, lifelong Globe readers. Now they can't buy the Globe anymore. Do you guys remember briefly when there was a lady bringing in the Globes like on Air Canada flights and selling them for like $10 a pop? Do you have a comment, Evan?
Yeah. You can get them at Reed's on Mount
You
Road.
can get them at Reed's, formerly owned by the Smiths family.
Plug.
Nice plug. A couple years too late. All right, we've got. We're gonna go into some slides here and kind of try to move on with the show. Some of them are sort of like from my personal collection, and I forget to take things out and put things back in. So there could be a few that don't belong there, and I'm hoping that that's not the case. But like that was supposed to be taken out. I had something against my last audience, but you guys are okay. There's my arch nemesis. I'll have you know, Crosby wears 87 because he was born in 1987. I was born in 1986, which is why I've never worn a number in the NHL in my life. But anyway, I've always been curious about this photo because it's like, did they go to Sears to have this done? And like the hand on the shoulder, like everything about it is fucked. And even crazier, if you think about it at this point in Crosby's career, like when he was a rookie, like he lived with Mario Lemieux. He lived in his house. And not only that, Lemieux was like an owner of the team, but he was also still on the team. So if you know all these details, it gets crazier and crazier the longer that you look at this photo. I think. In fact, why don't I just leave this up for the rest of the show? Just kidding. We miss him now. We didn't like him then, but we miss him now. I think he got this shirt for Christmas, and he's trying it on. Also, what the fuck is the shirt? It's like insane gold leopards, tigers, whatever it is on there. Insane. Okay, we got more Suzuki. I don't know if anyone has ever seen my...
Buzz, amazing.
I love that Mercer has like a sick cocktail, like he's having a martini. So casually. I don't know if you guys have seen when I've had like my station IDs or like my shout outs. Like I've had some pretty cool people be like, hi, I'm so-and-so and you're watching Canada.co. And I put it on my stories. I got Mercer one time. That was pretty sick. And he follows the account. Like that's why I asked him. I don't ask like celebs, if you want to call them that. I don't ask them unless they follow the account first. Like I'm not just out there unsolicited, just firing off these DMs. Like, would you? So he and I like chat. Me and Mercer like chat. We never met, but we like we're in the DMs. And so I asked him about this photo. I was like, I must know. Like, do you remember? He's like, yes, I do know the one you're talking about. And he was like, believe it or not, like, so, okay. Suzuki is wearing underwear, but he had, for some sort of like, prank, like he had gotten otherwise naked at a Gemini after party. You can see the Gemini on the table. So the look Mercer is giving was not staged. It was a real, genuine walking by a nude Suzuki and being like, the hell? Anyway, I thought that was funny. More shirtless people from our youth. Here's Ron McLean. Looking decent, I might add. I should be so lucky if I come around and I'm looking that good. Ron is known to rage. I don't know if anybody knows this about Ron, but the guy fucking throws down. And you wouldn't think he's like quoting Aristotle on Hockey Night in Canada. But then he does this, like, at the bar in Victoria, like, So I've always gotten a kick out of that. In the past, I've had a few people be like, how come, like, none of your memes are in the show? And I'm like, because that's not a thing people, like, do, like, just, like, imagine an hour of me being like, and then. Anyway, that's exactly what I'm gonna do now. So, this is true. And some of my best work, I must say. This is a personal favorite. This photo is from the New Glasgow Lobster Supper in Prince Edward Island. POV, this group tells you they haven't seen you since you were about yay high, even though you are 35 years old. I forget what show it, but someone was like, that's my aunt, that's my great aunt. I was like, well, yeah, I have to use, like, accurate people. This one was always a favorite of mine here. Gonna have to move out of New Brunswick. I just saw a pit bull smoking an Export A green in Dieppe. That was the last straw. All right, this one's good. I don't know who sent me this. The person's likely in the room, or maybe someone was at this wedding. Was someone at this wedding? Maybe. Think about it. If not, lie to me. For the sake of the crowd, it would have been great if you just said, "Yeah, I was there." A lot of you know my whole obsession with the Venres chair. You've seen it on the account over the last 7 years. So someone sent this to me, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Because usually at weddings where they do the Venres chair, they wrap it up in the fancy tablecloths or whatever the hell they do. No, these guys just raw dog the Venres chairs. They just let them fly. And so when I got this photo, I was like, God damn it, for a wedding, this is amazing. And I was like, what's the story behind that? And they're like, the father of the bride is a school principal. So these were just loaded in off of a little room somewhere, right into a truck, and straight down to the beach. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the Confederation Bridge in the background. Woo! So this is, I don't know if it's, I'm assuming this is the New Brunswick side, or unless I think it is the New Brunswick side. The sand is looking pretty red though, but hard to say. Hard to say, boys. Okay. Woo!
Best high chairs in town.
Damn. Yeah, followed by. Also, did anyone notice the crew neck on the admin? I guess because it's still there, the feelings are very different. You guys are like, yeah, but who cares? Let's go tomorrow. I promise the next time I'm back, I'll do more on Crystal Palace on from an angle, because I don't. The other thing, I didn't end up starting the show this way, but I was considering it. I was gonna come out and be like, okay, did you guys know that there's this hill, and it's magnetic. And then it was gonna be like a Kaufman-esque bit where I pretend you didn't know about magnetic hill. Anyway, I was like, that's not that funny. This is for mes amis acadiens. I love these guys. I absolutely love these guys. That's some pretty good work. I've always been impressed with this. It's on someone's arm. This is me and my dad. Sticking out like a sore fucking thumb. Et aussi des frites, du poulet et du sauce brune. That's us again.
My envy.
Couple fucking beauties there. Okay, these men run a website called mynewbrunswick.ca. That's true, and I have, over the years, sourced quite a bit of material from that website. So I shouldn't just throw them under the bus, I should actually say what they do, which is that. And I think they're like brothers or cousins or something. Anyway, two fucking legends right there. Here's a variation of my earlier joke. They say every time an angel whispers, "Way she goes, a maritimer is born." Here I have an actual early photo of the band. This would have been a long time ago. They've had what you call a glow up ever since. Here's one for the real heads. Isn't he kind of just doing that in French? No? Whatever. I love him. Petit Belleville, I think, is one of the most interesting people in Canadian music right now. I absolutely love his shit. He's doing this venue, I'm not sure when, I think it's later on this summer. I imagine it's going to be absolutely fucking haywire. I would go to that show if I could. I actually DM'd him before posting this, if it would be like chill, and he was like, oh, absolutely, go ahead. Here is someone's talent. I assume. She's ready to go. Okay, story time. All right, so I've had my run-ins with a few quote-unquote celebs out there. I already mentioned Rick Mercer. I was making these Valentines for a while, and then I would post them on Valentine's Day, and I would typically sort of make fun of, now I do conservative politicians across the country, like premiers or whatever, and I really take a run at them, because fuck those guys. Yeah. And if you don't like that, I'll help you pack. But this one year, I did, a series of B, C-list Canadian celebs, and I did Jan Arden. And this one's harmless. This one just says, "Could I Be Your Girl?" which is obviously a track off of her record, Living Under June. A record, might I add, there's not a bad song on. It's an absolutely incredible record. So this got back to her. And instead of liking the photo, she didn't like it at all, and this was her response. "Please stop the live export of horses to Japan. It's unbelievably cruel. 4 large draft horses crammed into wooden crates, no headroom, no food, no water, 2 days shitting on each other. Long, turbulent flight overseas is just insane. Then they're killed brutally, and they're eaten raw by rich people. Hashtag stop live horse export." I said, "Hi, Jan, massive fan here." I just wanted to clarify that I'm not actually affiliated with the government in any capacity, but rather a simple citizen and proud owner of Living Under June and a ticket stub to your show at the Aiken Center, Fredericton, 1997, my first ever concert. So you can imagine how devastating this was to me. Fucking ruined me. And I ended I ended with love you, Jan. Anyway, you would think that like they would have been taken down by now. Nope, that is still up there. That comment. Okay, turning things around, I've had a much better run-in with, our queen from Spring Hill, Anne Murray. I once posted, I kind of went through like a bit of a phase, I kind of looked like a maniac, actually. Looking back, I'm like, she might have been a little worried how much the admin was posting about Anne Murray. But on this one particular day, I found this like really crazy footage on this like pretty obscure YouTube account that I follow. That's a guy that has like footage from like UMB in like the 60s and 70s. And Anne went to UMB in the, I want to say very early 70s. Around the time that my mother was at St. Thomas. And that would have been, it doesn't matter. And that would have been, anyway, there was this thing called the Red and Black Review, and it was like a talent show that UMB had. And Anne performed at it, and at that time, like she was sort of starting to become a bit of a star, and there was inklings, you know, this bitch might be for real. She might go all the way. So I posted this footage, and I actually got a DM from Anne herself. She says, I have never seen this ever in my life. So I thought that was neat. And then, you know, at that point I'm just happy because I'm DMing with Anne Murray. So that was exciting. 2 weeks go by, and in the mail I get this like massive like gift basket from the Anne Murray team. I know. And there was like, you know, a hat in there, and there was, what else was in there? Like this amazing crew neck sweater, some of the best merch I've ever seen, because it was just this plain crew neck sweater, and in cursive writing, it just said, Anne Murray. Which I thought was like fucking so sick. But also in there was this signed 8x10 to the admin. But it gets better. It gets better. Someone on our team said, you know, he's anonymous. So yeah, give him this one that says to the admin, but also give him one that says to John. Which is not my name, unfortunately. I'm just kidding. Just joking. This is my name. Another cute anecdote. I recently was DM'd by another guy named Adam Baldwin. Does anybody know who that is? Adam Baldwin? So Adam Baldwin was in Matt May's band he was a member of El Torpedo, you could say, because it was Matt May's and El Torpedo. So I got a DM from Adam Baldwin. Hey man, I'm from Dartmouth. I love your account. I don't know if you know who I am, but like you may know, you know, the band I was in for a while. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I know Matt Mays. Matt Mays was a big deal on the East Coast when I was going to university. Like that, they put on a crazy show. And I was like, oh yeah, sick. He's like, I wanted to invite you to my show in Montreal. And I was like, oh, cool. And I figured, I don't know where I thought it was going to be, like maybe like Petit Campus or something on a Tuesday. He's like, no, I'm opening for Alan Doyle on a Saturday night. And I was like, fucking rights, I'll be there. Absolutely. And as the conversation went on, I sort of, there's me and Adam having a drink. As the conversation went on, I sort of got up the courage. Yeah, he's having, it's my Anne Murray hat, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I finally got the courage up to be like, is there any chance I'm going to be able to meet the big man? And he was like, yeah, you can meet Alan or whatever. So there's me and Alan Doyle, baby. Let's go! All right, so there we go. Now we're going to sort of move into the actual Canada.gov.ca style portion of the show. And the first person I'd like to speak about is a Moncton legend known by Norma Gale. Now, on August 15th, we celebrate La Fête Nationale de l'Acadie, or Quinze, which reminds me of a sort of famous but often overlooked Acadienne born Norma Gallant, or Norma Gallant, but known by her stage name as Norma Gale. There's a few things to note that make Norma Gale an interesting woman. First of all, she's an Acadian country singer. So that's a pretty sick start on things, I think. And dare I say that old Norma was a little rough around the edges vocal-wise. This is not someone with the most polished voice in the whole world, but rather someone with character and an absolute need to sing and perform, which I think is a talent on its own. So Norma Gallant's career begins at age 12 playing country jamborees in the Maritimes. She's then asked to become a featured guest on the Bunkhouse Boys TV show and perform as lead vocalist for Val Surette and the Nighthawks with Roger Cormier's The Brunswick Playboys. These are some legendary guys back in the day. Norma Gallant left Moncton for Toronto in the 70s to become a famous country singer. One of her first gigs she was able to secure was as the bass player in the house band at the now iconic Horseshoe Tavern. Norma cut her teeth playing for hours and hours and hours and hours every night, knowing her way around all the classics, standards, and contemporary songs of the time. Talk about a crash course. At the time, the band acted as the backup band for whatever big country act needed them when they came through to play the Horseshoe. For Norma, that included backing Loretta Lynn, Waylon Jennings, and perhaps most notably, Conway Twitty, with whom she would go on a number of dates. Get it, Norma? Norma went on to do some of her own touring. I feel like it's kind of like a good idea to sort of like play a slide or two in between. Like, so here's Norma. Nice, eh? Now, in my notes it says that after one particular show, she had a gun pulled on her when she argued with a promoter that was taking advantage of her. And then in my notes it says, "Mêle-toi de tes oignons, monsieur." Now, I regret to inform you all, I forget what that means. Can anyone tell me what is it, what?
Mind your own business. Mind
your own business? Now, why would you say that to a man with a gun? Just trying to make sense of it. Okay, but I get it. Doesn't she look like she's from here, kind of? Like, she looks like one of you guys. You know, she's pretty, but it's like in the eyes or something. It's un vrai visage acadien, I think. I don't know. Anyway, I'm a big fan of Norma Gale. Some have referred to Norma as a road dog, someone who truly paid her dues, but it didn't come without moments of glory. She was invited to... Nice. Love to hear it. Love that for you. She was once invited to Graceland while Elvis was there. By Elvis. Yes, really. Yeah, I can hear y'all. I can hear the beers. I can hear the reelies. And she once even played the Grand Ole Opry, which is a deal in and of itself. Norma's recorded work includes 2 solo albums on Caribou Records, the 1970 LP January, April, and Me, and the follow-up, April's Angel Food Cake. Some notable... followed by January's Mustard Pickles. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. On the fly. See, I can do this on the fly too. I'm pretty good. Some notable singles also include My Canada, The Wedding, So Far Away From You, My Picture Province. Woo! New Brunswick, J'espère. I don't think there's another Picture Province. And what more can I say? In the summer of 1985, at the age of 40, Norma decided to walk from Toronto to Nashville. The fuck? She walked approximately 25 miles each day, or 40 kilometers, and had relatives follow her in a motorhome where she slept at night. Strangely, she was not raising money or awareness for anything. It's my favorite detail. She just wanted to walk. So I think Norma snapped. But I'm not sure. And if there's any relatives in the audience, I mean no disrespect. I just think maybe Norma had it. This is sick. Like, this is her playing the bass. And not just strumming. She's got like a little walking bass line there going while singing, which bass players know is not easy. But this is a road dog. Like, this is how you know, like, she can do this with her eyes closed. Like, she's on autopilot right now. Ringer. We love Norma.
Local Rattler.
On the back of one of my stickers, which are $5, by the way, at the merch table. I got a little off track there. Norma died in 2016, but she is immortalized in the Tara Lightfoot song "Norma Gale." I think that's how I heard about Norma. Actually, was hearing. I don't know if do you guys know Tara Lightfoot? She's amazing. I saw her open up for Bruce Cockburn. A little embarrassing. Like dad fest going to see Bruce Cockburn, but it was wicked. Anyway, Tara Lightfoot opened for Bruce, and she played this song Norma Gale, and at the show she like told this whole story. And I was like, well, I'm jacking that shit for my account for sure. No, but I was also just really inspired. Like I liked that story, and so I thought more people need to hear that, and more people need to hear Tara Lightfoot's track about it. So there you go. I had a couple more clips of Norma here, but maybe we'll just skim a few. But we have this. There's in the prime here. I love this. And here she is with Conway. So there you go. Okay. Now we're gonna chat a little bit about the next topic, and you're gonna understand why. So just give me a minute here. We're gonna talk about Rainbow Valley for a second. So I just did a show in Charlottetown, and I spent a good chunk talking about Rainbow Valley. It was a PEI show. I went fairly into depth about the history of Rainbow Valley, and I spoke about a documentary that was put together on the theme park. Here for this Moncton show, I'd just like to touch on a few things instead. Rainbow Valley was obviously this really special place for all of us. I have said in the past that it was, and unlike Crystal Palace, which was fairly conventional in its approach, Rainbow Valley was more psychedelic in like a weirdly threatening kind of way. Kind of so true. Like Alice in Wonderland or something, you know? Like it was a little bit fucked. And if you went there, like you remember. But it was sort of this bizarre encapsulation of what I would call a maritime talent, which is being exciting and weird at the same time. Something I think we do very well here. Rainbow Valley really sums it up. But as you may notice here, this looks like the back end of an admin running a page. My first internet joke was starting the Rainbow Valley Facebook page. This is years and years before Canada.gov.ca, and also years and years after the park closed. So I had absolutely no business doing this, like no connection to it whatsoever. But I was just like, fuck it. Like Instagram wasn't a thing yet. Twitter was sort of like still like a US thing a little bit, and so Facebook was still sort of where people lived online. And so like I was like, I just think there should be like a Rainbow Valley Facebook page. So I made it, and I started to get like hundreds of inquiries like all the time. Some of which I still answer. Like, they're like, what time are you open? I'm like, we closed in 2005. we closed. Like I ever did fucking anything for that place other than go and pee my pants. But I was always disappointed going to the UFO and finding out that it was only a gift shop. And many will remember, it as perhaps the most influential and impactful part of Rainbow Valley. It was on all the postcards, and like I said, I believe it to be the most important branding for the theme park. It really stood out. And there's something else I want to say. At some point, this is really embarrassing, but I'm gonna say it anyway. At one point, I start to get like thousands of followers, and it's my first time on the internet with like any sort of audience. One I did not deserve whatsoever. Like tricked people, much I guess kind of like Canada.gov.ca, where I tricked people into coming on false pretenses. I'm a bit of a coyote. Anyway, once I had this audience, I decided that I would start writing poems from the perspective of Rainbow Valley. So, here we have something amiss in the sky, a bird or a plane or a memory gone by. We can hover through an old photo album, dig through negatives, and find only positives. Not bad, right? Look at your shorts. I remember those shoes. There's something alive in the sky. The time we spent together gone by.
Woo!
Thank you. I have one more. Shall we?
Yeah.
We are looming. Okay. For context, this is March, so I'm in a little bit of a state, feeling like summer is very far away. We are looming somewhere between a winter scene and a rum runner's dream. Wheat mazes make our pushed minds wander, our heart a broken water slide. Our heart a broken water slide? Fuck. Brutal. I love it though. Cursed duct tape fraying at the ends. The slide is dry. The shade is cold. Looming somewhere in between a winter scene and a rum runner's dream. Pretty good. I always just like this one because I like the picture of them. This is like they're building the water slides. But it's really interesting because they built Rainbow Valley by themselves. Like no one did that other than just mostly this one guy named Earl Davidson. This is me wearing some merch that I still have, which is pretty tight. There's Rainbow Valley itself. We all miss it. Okay, so the guy that started Rainbow Valley, Earl Davidson, built the whole thing with his own two hands, but he also sold it to Parks Canada in 2005 because he thought he was dying. He had cancer, which the doctors told him was terminal, which turned out that was not the case, and he was not dying, and he fully recovered. And then was very, very sad that he had sold Rainbow Valley. That's true. It's a true story. So, if you think we're sad, and I don't know if he's still with us now, because this was a while ago, and he was already quite old, but he at some point, and God love him, wanted to cash out, and did for like $3 million. Like he sold that land for $3 million. So he did okay. Not the end of the world. But one of the reasons why I bring up the UFO gift shop and Earl Davidson is because it was Earl Davidson that also built. Here's like a nice, pretty cool postcard, Rainbow Valley. And here's a close-up of the gift shop. It was also Earl Davidson that built the other UFO structure, one that you may be familiar with, that was on, for many years, Mountain Road.
Woo! Moncton!
So that was the same guy. Did you guys know that?
That's us!
Yeah, some of you knew that? Okay, well, it's all right. To be precise, it stood on what is now the corner of Shirley Avenue and Mountain Road. Initially, it was a very unique pizza place that some say was part of a publicity stunt with local radio station CKCW.
Woohoo!
Others have told me that it was an early Pizza Delight franchise.
Yep.
Is that confirmed?
Confirmed,
Okay,
Johnny.
that's what I thought. I also recently learned that Pizza Delight was started in Shediac in 1968.
The owner is dead.
So pretty fucking sweet. And I don't know if you guys know, but these were based off of the plans for what was called a Futuro house, which was like a prefab house that this Finnish architect in Finland came up with, and it was actually deemed so ugly that it was banned from many municipalities across the world. And to this day, you cannot build one of these.
Yep.
But they would sell the plans for it. So Earl Davidson got his hands on the plans, but like illegally from Bombardier. And they took them away from him, but he remembered. And that's how he built that one. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, Moncton! Let's go, Moncton!
So yeah, another thing that happened in 1980, there's another iconic shot. Pizza Delight. In 1980, it became a curling rock.
Yeah!
It served as the headquarters for the Air Canada Silver Broom Men's World Curling Championship that was hosted in Moncton, and a handle was added to the top to make it resemble a curling stone. It eventually, isn't that great? It eventually moved to Riverview and served as a video store and a sub shop before being put up to sale. One day it was gone as though it had vanished in the night.
Oh.
And no one has seen it ever since. Thing of beauty. And you know what? This is such a great pic. It looks amazing in this unbelievably large screen. I'm surprised. That's great. Okay. That's everything I wanted to tell you about that. But just as a side note, I would like to point out that there's another legendary Moncton food and beverage institution that I'm a huge fan of. And that would be Deluxe Franchise. Many of you know that Deluxe started as a food truck right here in Moncton in 1949 by the Terrio family. Years ago, they did a giveaway for some of their iconic merch, which you obviously cannot buy, by the way, which is incredibly frustrating for the hipsters of New Brunswick who desperately want to sport the gear. Someone like me that might want to own a Magic Mountain crew deck. So they had this giveaway, and I knew from their last one that the one they were about to have was going to be a bloodbath. And so I thought to myself, you know, with this account that I have, how can I girl boss my way into some of this without winning the giveaway? Because I knew I wouldn't. There was going to be like 2,000 comments and 5,000 shares and all this fucking shit. I didn't stand a chance. So I was like, I need to work the system here a little bit. So armed with my 50 or so thousand followers that I had at the time, I sat down and wrote an in-depth, glowing puff piece on my favorite fish and chips place in the Maritimes, Deluxe. Sure enough, my plan worked. Within a couple of weeks, I received a huge gift basket. Yeah, sorry guys. I had to. It had a ball cap, a toque, $100 in gift cards, and the insanely sought-after Deluxe 3/4 zip-up sweater.
Woo!
I did it. I played the system, and I won. But something really cute happened the other day that I need you to know about. I was at the Fredericton Boys Farmers Market, and a little boy tapped me on the back. I was wearing my favorite Deluxe sweater, and I turn around, and this little boy is wearing a Deluxe sweater too. It was very, very cute and nice, and we had a little discussion. Me, the boy, and his father. His father tells me that the boy's mother is a Terrio.
Woo!
Yeah. From the family that founded Deluxe French fries in Moncton in 1949. By the way, he said, the father, where did you get your sweater? I just smiled and winked and walked away. Just kidding, I told him everything. And here's a pic of the interaction. So that's pretty cute.
Oh.
Woo!
We love it.
With the
We love Deluxe. Pretty haunting, eh? I like it whenever like the letters get taken down. They're like, we didn't think of the next step. Bring back those prices. Crown with good taste. That was back when it was Crown with good taste, because they had a couple jingles. So that was one of them. Have a deluxe day. There we go. So this is pre-Have a Deluxe Day. That's how far the admin is willing to dig for you guys. Yeah, all right, there we go. I appreciate the applause because we are moving on, so that's great. Next, I'd like to talk about something. I'll be curious to see how much of it is a thing in
You should do a
Moncton,
sing-along
as opposed to the rest of Maritimes.
for Have a Deluxe Day.
Yeah,
It's we all know what it is, but I don't know if we all know of it as what it's called. But it has a nickname called the Gaelic Gasp. There we go. Amazing. For the first time ever in Charlottetown last week, everybody in the crowd knew it, and you guys did not disappoint either. Give yourselves a round of applause for the Gaelic Gasp. So now I feel really stupid because now I'm about to talk about it for a while, and you guys like clearly know what it is. So what is the Gaelic Gasp, you might ask, but if you live in Scotland or the Atlantic provinces, chances are you've heard it before. Technically referred to as ingressive sound or ingressive pulmonic speech, a Gaelic gasp is a linguistic phenomenon that originates from the Scottish Highlands. However, it's also commonly found in the Scottish Lowlands, Nova Scotia, PEI, and New Brunswick, Newfoundland, parts of Maine, and the Ottawa Valley, but it's also found its way into Quebec in the form of That is true. It's a true story. It is characterized as being a sharp intake of breath while saying words such as yeah, and is often used in agreement. Many have suggested that it actually has its roots in the Scandinavian languages and that it was introduced to Scotland by the Vikings. The main function of inhaled speech can be paralinguistic, showing agreement with a statement and encouraging a speaker to continue. What makes the Gaelic gasp so interesting? Yeah, because like it's not even. There's someone dying in the ground. Because like it's not even always like a. Sometimes it's just. And it's just like, I'm with you, keep going. But what's interesting is that some people are completely unaware of doing it. And many people will even deny doing it at all. Another interesting thing is that sometimes people will actually become competitive with the Gaelic gasp and use it more and more in conversation with another person who is using it as well. I have a few examples of mine that I would like to show you, as well as a full-on feature on CBC News. Can we get some volume up there?
Turn the whole thing.
It's an inhale for yes. Did you notice everything? So it's a big inhale. It's not a medical condition. It's an island nonverbal for yes.
So let's try that on this question. Ready? Did it take us way too long to get through this?
Who noticed Boomer? What's up, Boomer? Go ahead. Yeah, if there's anywhere with more glance than Moncton, it's Prince of Rhode Island. We'll have to give them that one. Okay, next up.
Let me hear your PI accent.
Yeah, man. Someday, amen.
Jesus, we're on an island, you dummy. You don't even sound like an islander. I'll do the talking for the both of us. G'day! How you doing? We'd like to join up with this PEI's Got Talents cocksucker thing. Shit.
You go from PEI?
Yeah. Born and raised. Nice day out there. Not bad. A little bit of cold, a little bit of wind. Soon to warm up, though. Fuck the bridge, I'm Floss McLeod.
Who's your father?
McLeod.
Up west Albert McLeod or down east Albert McLeod?
Up west?
You, dear?
This is Sister Gladys. Not like none, though. She's my sister. She's the other McLeod girl.
She's awful quiet, isn't she?
She got kicked in the head by a cow when she was a child.
Does anybody know this show? This is a show called Just Passing Through. And it was written by a guy
A friggin'
named named Jeremy Larder, and absolutely fucking hilarious. They made 2 seasons of it, and Jeremy Larder just had a movie come out that's on like Paramount Plus called Who's Your Father? It's an excellent movie. It's really funny. It does not take itself too seriously at all. And it's about like a PI, like a private investigator on Prince Edward Island. Already funny. Like you don't even have to watch that to know that it's gonna be funny. Really? So I recommend it. It is stupid, but it's really good. Okay, we're gonna move into a new topic here now. And I'm just gonna, I mean the next topic with like all due respect. And I want to speak to it because I think it's part of Moncton history, and I think that it's something that can be looked at as sort of a nice thing. Around the time that I graduated from high school, I remember hearing about the passing of a man that some called Fast Eddie in Moncton, or Eddie the Bum. Woo! If I remember correctly, the story began on the radio with mention of all these different judges and dignitaries who were present at his funeral. Must have been someone really important, I thought to myself, given the type and amount of people who were present at his celebration of life. But then what's surprising was the use of another nickname that they used for Eddie, which was Eddie the Bum. Eddie's real name was Joseph Edward Legier, and in 2004 he died of liver cancer after living on the streets of Moncton for over 50 years. Crazy. In our current era of luxuries and comfort, I am absolutely incapable of comprehending this. Over 5 decades of living on the streets. It seems impossible, but that is exactly how Eddie lived his life. And just to touch on his funeral again, there's a few things worth mentioning that I would say. Among Eddie's pallbearers were 6 judges from the Moncton area, likely ones who had seen Eddie in front of them at their work over the years. Lauren Mitten, who was mayor of Moncton at the time, described the attendees of the funeral as the who's who of the city. Other people experiencing houselessness joined the service as well, alongside police officers, athletes, and friends. There's a few highlights from a CBC article in 2004 that I would like to share. Although Legier often dressed in rags, smelled of alcohol, and was known to startle drivers by climbing into their unlocked parked cars to get some shut-eye, many said he had a heart of gold. Terry LeBlanc recalled how his friend, Eddie, had once found and returned a wallet full of money and a $1,500 diamond ring. He was a good person no matter what. He was a street person, but still a good person. This is still the quote from Terry LeBlanc. People from all walks of life looked out for Legier, giving him food, money, and clothing. Wayne Beatty, a retired police officer, said police cruisers often acted as a taxi service for him. And I quote, "We'd drive him around in the paddy wagon, and when the shift was over at 7:30, at 7:10 we'd say, 'Eddie, time to go,' and he'd say, 'Well, drop me off at the side door of the cathedral.'" Legier's friends tried to get him off the street with no success, Beatty said. He never ever explained why he wanted to do it. There wasn't much we could do for him. We all tried, but he just chose that type of life. It said in his obituary that Legier leaves a sister, a brother, and a legion of friends. One of them, Yolande Whitenut, said she met Legier when she was 15 years old and saw him eat an apple core he had just picked up off the street. She paid tribute to him in a way she thought he would enjoy. "I put a cigarette in his coffin. So guess what, Eddie? You got my last smoke." I always thought that was nice. So there's a bit of information regarding Eddie's passing. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to track down like a solid one picture, but I was able to find this somewhat unfortunate painting, which I think was probably a tribute at one time, but I find offensive myself. But just from a historical standpoint, I thought I would post it here. It's the photo on a Reddit thread about Eddie. So if you want more information, you can find it that way about Eddie. It was in the basement of the Richard Buckdow Courthouse, which is now closed and has since been turned into a bed and breakfast. But I thought I would also relay a few important highlights from Eddie's life before it was taken over by alcoholism. Eddie was an exceptional athlete. He is described across a number of different obituaries and articles as a significantly better than average athlete at hockey baseball, and boxing. In fact, it was even said that he was good friends with Yvon Durell, some of you may know as the Fighting Fisherman, while others of you may remember that a young Frank McKenna made his name as a lawyer in the province, getting Yvon Durell off on a murder charge. But that's a story for another day. As a hockey player, Eddie excelled on the ice, some even saying he played for a short time for the Mount Allison University Mounties men's hockey team. I've not been able to find record of this, but more than one person has mentioned this to me. As a fan, he preferred the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Toronto Blue Jays to the Montreal Canadiens and the Montreal Expos. He was elated when the Blue Jays won back-to-back World Series in 1992 and 93. He also had an obsession with the local Moncton Hawks team. He was especially fond of the 1933 and 34 Allen Cup winning teams and could name all of the players on the rosters for those years. He also enjoyed the post-Second World War era Moncton Hawks, the St. John Beavers, and the Amherst Ramblers. He held a number of jobs, starting as a paperboy when he was a child. Later, he worked as what was called a callboy for the Canadian National Railway. He worked at a shoe factory in Amherst. He worked various labor jobs in Montreal and Goose Bay. He was a truck driver. He also worked farms in Memram Cook and Amherst. He took construction jobs in Toronto and Fredericton and a number of jobs in Halifax over the years. He also once, as a child, received a special letter from Superintendent Harrison Trimble for his excellence in school. It was widely known that Eddie Legier, later known Eddie the Bum, was one of the smartest children in the district, one year holding down an average of 99% across his courses. Just some food for thought regarding Moncton's own Eddie the Bum. This is where he would hang out. This is the Richard Buckner Courthouse that you can now book. Pretty fucked. People probably used to get near beaten to death there, and you can stay there for $189 a month plus tax, or night plus tax. Got the old Moncton Hawks logo, just beautiful. So nice. This one, not as much. This one's my favorite by far. It's a stunning example of like modernist design of that period. This is now a university course. Yeah, this one we don't like. This one we like though. We like this one. Okay, now I'm gonna play a little song that I found, and I hate that I forget who wrote it. I want to say it's Marcel Tremblay, but I could be wrong. Anyway, here we go, and hopefully it's loud enough. If not, maybe I can get some volume up at the top here. Eddie Le Bum. Ah, there we go, Michel Théo. So, pretty much what I said.
Il s'appelle Eddie Le Bum, et il n'a rien d'un gentilhomme. Il n'en a rien à foutre.
Mon Dieu.
De vos demises de scout, c'est une arme en déroute, et les gens le redoutent. Il boit de la bière, du vin, du rhum, c'est un ivrogne, Eddie Le Bum. Quand il vous harcèle, dites-vous que ce rebelle a eu la vie cruelle, il a du plomb dans l'aile. Il demande quelques sous, c'est pour aller boire un coup. Si vous lui refusez,
Not afraid of a good meal.
il vous traite de fou.
God bless him.
Personne ne veut de lui comme chum, c'est un baveux, Eddie Le Bum, un vieil anarchiste, un peu fantaisiste, mais dans son âme d'artiste, il y a des cicatrices.
I may have missed the part in my write-up that they say he was also like an exceptional crib player and pool player. Like you couldn't beat him, no matter how drunk he was at either. Like he was like a savant. Which all kind of squares up with the crazy guy on the street, doesn't it, you know? I mean, I've always been intrigued since 2004 with Eddie the Bum. So there So there's Eddie. Well, that's not Eddie. This is something different altogether. But yeah, it was important for me that you guys realized that I was doing that sort of segment with respect and not trying to, and I think that got through. So. So this is going to seem like a strange transition, but I'd like to talk about all of Lucy Maud Montgomery's rejected suitors. Perfect. Because it's funny. Sometimes I like to think about all the men rejected by Lucy Maud Montgomery because as folks from New Brunswick, we're pretty close to her whole raison d'etre. And let's start from the beginning and go in order, shall we? Her first suitor came when she was just 14 years old. Totally fine. Totally fine and normal. Just a full-grown man and a 14-year-old girl. Relax. His name was Nate Lockhart, and he was a young man from Cavendish. To Lucy, the relationship was, and I quote, merely a humorous and witty friendship. And it came to a screeching halt when she refused his marriage proposal. Next, there was John A. Mustard, who was Lucy's teacher. Awesome! So romantic, a teacher, a student. It's like, yeah, it seems like love to me. Power dynamics, never heard of it. She describes his advances as unwelcome. And she noted his best attempts at conversations were his thoughts on predestination and other dry points of theology.
Burn!
Yeah,
Burn!
Fuck Mr. Mustard. He did it in the study with the... Well, John pursued in vain, Lucy turned... One guy thinks that's funny, no one else. It wasn't that funny. While John pursued in vain, Lucy turned her attention to Will Pritchard. Now, Will is interesting because it seems like Lucy actually liked him. He was the brother of her good friend, Laura Pritchard. Will Pritchard is also thought to be the inspiration for Anne's love interest, Gilbert Blythe. And he looks pretty good, doesn't he? And he also kind of looks like the way Gilbert is described in the novel. So Lucy and Will did have something going, but ultimately he felt more than she did, and she referred to him in a journal as merely a good chum, friend-zoned. Sad. Then we have cousin Edward Simpson. That's right, cousin Edward Simpson. Ed's proposal was actually initially accepted by Lucy. She would later write, however, that she accepted it out of desire for protection and that she felt her other prospects were rather poor. There's some of you ladies in here that did that too. I know it. Look inward. I'm just kidding. Later, she would state that she found him physically and emotionally repellent. The best thing about Lucy Maud is her journaling. Like, she wrote everything down. So if you ever want to know her thoughts on whatever, you can find out. Just go and look, and she'll tell you what she thought. While engaged to Ed, she took a teaching job in Lower Bedeck, PEI, boarding with the Laird family. There she met young Herman Laird, who was himself engaged at the time to someone else. Spicy. But nothing could stop them. There she began an affair with the only man she ever loved, and referred to him as an attractive young animal. She would later write, Herman suddenly bent his head and his lips touched my face. I cannot tell what possessed me. I seemed swayed by a power utterly beyond my control. I turned my head. Our lips met in one long, passionate pressure. A kiss of fire and rapture, such as I had never experienced or imagined. Ed's kisses, at the best, left me cold as ice, whereas Herman's sent a flame through every fiber of my being. Wow. While she desired to maintain her virginity prior to marriage, she writes in her journals that she often invited Laird into her bedroom when everybody else was out, and though she refused to have sex with him, she and Laird engaged in kissing and preliminary lovemaking. Loose! You fucking slut, man! I love it! Get it loose! A reminder that at the time, she looked like this. A total fox. Yeah, amazing. Lucy would eventually marry the Reverend Ewan MacDonald and move to Ontario and have 3 kids and live miserably until her death.
Oh, Jesus.
No, don't hate the messenger, man. That's well documented that it was bad times after Herman, unfortunately. Okay, we're gonna move on here. Now, what is it about Frenchies that has us all by the jugular?
I don't know.
It's really a powerful regional chain, regardless of where you're from in the Maritimes, in my opinion. But there's one thing I'd like to talk about, and that would be the wedding that took place at a Frenchies. Now, the best part about this, unbelievable.
Of all time.
Now, the best part about this is that the couple that got married at the Frenchies, they obviously asked permission to do this. But they also asked if the store could close while they performed the ceremony, and the local Frenchies said no. So if you look in the background, there's people shopping while they're getting their fucking photos done. How awful is that? Unbelievable. Anyway, shout out to them. They look like a fucking fire couple. You can tell by the way they look at each other, like they're gonna last. Like I can tell you right now, everyone's happy in that pic, and all I see is a belief in love. Like look at that. Let's go. Round of applause for that. Okay, we're moving along here. I'm going to talk about something else now. I'm going to talk about Regis Philbin. Why, you may ask? Excellent question. In 2010, something very strange happened. It was a level of desperation I've not seen from a government ever since. If I told you my friends and I were in shambles over this, I'd be underselling the manner in which we were fucking losing it. When Live with Regis and Kelly decided to film a couple episodes on Prince Edward Island, the government of New Brunswick decided to do its absolute best to piggyback on the occasion. The result was the most unhinged, half-assed, and even for the time, might I say pathetic, yet somehow brilliant effort by way of a video called Regis is Big in New Brunswick. Now, a little context first. The morning show starring Mr. Philbin would take the show on the road a couple times a year, sometimes to Orlando, sometimes to New Orleans or somewhere funky, but always somewhere other than their home base of Manhattan, New York. The PEI government's travel office contacted the series in partnership with the federal government. An invitation to come north was extended. The government hoped the show would boost tourism in PEI. Somewhere along the line, it was determined that the show would be traveling by bus, I believe. Therefore, the geniuses at the New Brunswick government realized, wait a minute, Regis is going to be in this place. Too nice a mic to actually drop, but I would have. Perhaps we should come up with an absolutely amazing video trying to convince him to stick around, either on the way to PEI or on the way back. From what I understand, the video was 100% ignored. And there is no evidence that Regis got off the highway en route to PEI. Story of our lives. Regis actually did perform with his wife and an orchestra later at Casino New Brunswick in Moncton, years and years later, so it had nothing to do with the video. When asked about the performance, He said, "Just the name is scaring me," Philbin said on the phone from New York. "Is there a monk in Moncton?" Like, that was his best joke he had for Moncton.
Boom!
A true comedic genius I have here in my notes. But the PEI shows were a hit. Regis called PEI a masterpiece, and the PEI government was pleased as well, calling the visit a success in that it was the equivalent of $22 million in ads.
Oh my.
The shows took place at Confederation Landing Park in Charlottetown. So there's some shots of it. This is when they were advertising the show. It's all pretty cute. All right, who's ready? Are we all set?
Yeah!
He's a charming, lovable guy, and that's the reason why Reese's big in New Brunswick. He's bigger than Hopewell Rocks. We're pulling out all the stops. Regis is big in New Brunswick. He'll feel like he's back home again. Next to that salmon in Campbellton. He's big.
Fucking train wreck.
He's bigger than the lobster in Shitty. He's bigger than the Maple Leaf in St. Content.
So 1% content. Real focus on the highway towns, eh?
He's a legend in our times.
Majorville.
We hope you'll be around. Regis comes to town. Regis is big in New Brunswick. He's bigger than the lobster.
Did we do this already? We already went to Shediac. We're going back. I guess it's the bridge.
He's bigger than the largest axe in Nakawik. Les plus gros que le village acadien.
I know the song now.
You've come a long, long way. Hope you enjoy your stay. You're always welcome back in New Brunswick.
So that did not work. That failed. Yeah, I've tried to go to that website. It's gone, unfortunately. Very sad, very sad. Anywho. Don't get your hopes up too much here, because we're not going deep into Angie. I mean Angie is sorry.
Whoa! Whoa!
Canada Tennessee was canceled in Moncton. Everything was going so well. No, but it's been a while now, but at one point I did a pretty silly post on Angie's in Moncton. Basically I was trying to just, well not farm, like not do like engagement farming. I really just wanted to read funny comments that people had about stories going to Angie's. And that worked. I got some really good stories. But yeah, for people that don't know, and I'm sure absolutely every single person does, Angie's is a strip club. And at one point, I think it was the only, like the single remaining strip club in the Maritimes. And I don't know if it is now, but at one point it was the only one. But there was an amazing comment that stood out. Someone said, there is a story about a secret strip club on Prince Edward Island. When we got the Confederation Trail, there was a spot that opened up off the trail in the winter that was only accessible by skidoo.
Whoa!
For the longest time, it had a good thing going until the wives started to wonder where all the men were going. And they eventually figured it out. I think they found the weakest link and got it out of them. One night, the wives waited until all the men had left, and then they rushed to the club, retrieving their husbands and shutting it down. I thought this was a myth, like when this guy posted it, until someone else DM'd me and said, no, I went to this strip club. And this one guy said he took his skidoo across the harbor in Summerside. It was a shortcut. And that night he ran out of gas on the way. In short, he missed the wife raid, prolonging his marriage for a few more years. he then tells me a couple days later, no, we're divorced now. So just to recap, what this particular follower told me, there was a secret strip club off the Confederation Trail accessible only by snowmobile. One night the wives went out before their husbands arrived and ambushed them. And the only way this guy knew that this was true because his snowmobile had broke down because he'd run out of gas or whatever. So I think that's pretty cool. This is the comment that the person... Yeah. I thought that was fucking... Like, this is why I do the account. You can't Google this information. You need someone to come through with it. You know what I mean? So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, everyone's like, I know this fucking guy. And then, yeah, the other thing was that they were running girls from Angie's to that strip club. So they would do Angie's, and then they were, being driven to the Confederation Trail, and then put on the back of a snowmobile to go dance for fucking 12 grease bags in Summerside. Isn't that awful? I know. Sorry, but it's funny, at least a little bit. Or is it? I don't know. Sorry. It's interesting, at least. Then someone said in Miramichi, I babysat for a couple who had a lodge. They hosted a lot of Saturday night parties. An auxiliary RCMP officer told my mother and father that they're running strippers from Moncton up to do parties in this lodge in Halcombe, New Brunswick. And that ended the best paying babysitting gig I ever had. Not sure how that information is relevant to the story. Anyway, here are the PEI strippers. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, this is good. I'm not holding you guys up too much tonight, I think. We've got one more thing to speak about, one more topic, and it's Peter MacKay. Specifically, his breakup with Belinda Stronach. Yeah. I've been thinking more and more about this tragic, heartbreaking tale and the surrounding events that occurred in its aftermath. What a story, with so many moving parts. We have the billionaire's daughter, Belinda, entering politics and running for the leadership of the newly merged PCs and Alliance Party.
Boo!
She loses, but she begins dating former PC leader Peter MacKay. During this entire time, she's completely at odds with her new leader, Stephen Harper. She's pro-choice, pro-gun control, and supportive of same-sex marriage. What the hell is she doing in the Conservative Party of Canada? During all this time, of course, Paul Martin has an extremely flimsy minority government with a big budget amendment vote coming. This, of course, acts as a vote of confidence for the party in power. The Conservatives and the Bloc, if they work together, have enough votes to bring down the government and force an election. That is until the defection of Belinda Stronach to the Liberals and the corresponding public breakup with Peter MacKay. How could she? Keep in mind, she did this in the same day. So she breaks up with the party and the man, all in one shot. Boss bitch move, if you ask me. But also, fuck Belinda Stronach. But also, fuck Peter MacKay way more because, yeah. With Belinda switching parties and picking up a nice senior cabinet post in the process. The vote is a tie at 152 to 152, which means the speaker votes as a tiebreaker, and he, as is expected with tradition, votes alongside the government, and the motion is carried. The government is saved. But what about Peter MacKay's feelings in all of this? Well, he was salty. In fact, after the breakup, with MacKay discussing the Conservatives' Clean Air Act and the Liberals critiquing it in Parliament, a Liberal MP asked MacKay, "What about your dog?" in reference to this photo that was in the Globe and Mail. And MacKay gestured across to the Liberal benches, pointing at Belinda and said, "You already have her." Pretty cool move there, Pete. Then, of course, there was the famous interview that Peter gave on his daddy's farm, in addition to this picture from the Globe and Mail, printed of him with a Bernese Mountain Dog, beautiful looking dog. But my favorite detail was that it was later revealed the dog had been borrowed for the photo. Didn't belong to Peter or his parents at all. It was from a neighbor down the road. Also, what is going on with his outfit? He looks like a prison inmate on a fishing trip. I love this because you've got Belinda in the background there, looming, about to bring down this guy's career, which she fully did. Yeah. So let's give her that. She saved us a Peter MacKay prime ministership. I would guess. I'm not gonna play this because it sucks. Because it's Peter MacKay saying in the background, and it's hard to hear, but he's like, "You already have her," about the dog thing, and it's just, I don't need to play that. You guys don't need to hear it. This, however, we can play. You feel bad for him now? As you've noticed, I've added some slowed down Sarah McLachlan to this clip. Some of the most cinematic political footage of the last 50 years. Need some distraction. The ultra slow zoom too. Like he's getting closer and closer. Anyway, fuck this guy. He sucks so much. Don't like anything about him. Never have. Never will. Then she dated Ty Domi. That was fucked up. Because it was like, what? You two? Like, okay. It was like if you put two names in Canadian history into like a blender or something and then pull two out. Oh, they're dating?
Okay.
Excellent. Perfect. Gives a shit. Okay. We have some final thoughts here. I definitely need to thank Roxanne Dupuis. Thank you so much, Roxanne. Look at this, look at this room. Like, look at you guys. This is incredible. And of course, Dance on Call. Who There's a few other things I'd like to say. I'd like to thank my wife, Allison, for all the help that she does. And I'd also like to thank Evan Smith. Thank you very much, Evan. Evan beats the spotlight. A few more slides here. This is an important one. I'm gonna need y'all to respect my trans homies, or I'm gonna identify as a fucking problem.
Woo! Yeah! Woo!
And I don't know if you saw this. This is real. This is.
Woo!
Wherever you are, Canada.gov.ca has your back, motherfucker. I'd also like to say anglophone, francophone, or n'importe quoi. This is our home on stolen land.
Yep.
This is as important as well. I'd like to say. You know, essentially, we live in a funny time, in a funny place. I feel as though we are collectively rejecting the neatly packaged version of the Canadian identity that we've been fed basically by the beer companies. We're so much more than hockey, maple syrup, Mounties, and moose, i.e. white boys. There's so much more to our story, and more we're realizing that white settlers are such a small part of it, English or French, and that immigrants, newer Canadians, and Indigenous people are in fact much more important to the overall story. So, with that, I would like to say thank you very much, but also I'm happy to open the floor to questions. One thing I did on my very first show, the one that I mentioned that my friend Zach Atkinson booked me for Shivering Songs, I decided at that show I was going to end the show with like a question and answer period, and I chickened out big time. Like basically at the end I was like, okay, any questions? And when like under 2 seconds went by without a hand going up, I was like, great, thank you very much. And I fucking booked it off the stage. But then when I did my next 2 shows, like my number 2 and number 3 show, they were in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, at a little place called the Woodside Beverage Room. I did 2 shows back to back, both sold out, a 5 o'clock and a 7 o'clock, baby. And, and on those shows, I decided that I would be brave and I would wait until a hand went up, no matter how long it took. And it ended up being one of my favorite parts of the show, like if not my favorite part, because the questions were amazing. I really enjoyed it. And so I've gotten braver, and with that, I'll open the floor to some questions if anybody has one. Go ahead. Yeah, is that Evan? Breaking the ice here?
What's the significance of the hat that you are wearing?
Oh, yes. Well, this would be an iconic band from the area called 1755. And 1755, pardon. C'est pas facile pour moi. Pour moi, c'est 1755, c'est tout. Je comprends pas. I don't speak English very well. I don't speak French very well. I don't know what I'm doing here. Non, je parle français un peu. J'ai pris immersion depuis la 4e année, alors je peux parler français. Et il y a presque 20 ans que j'habite à Montréal, alors...
Guillat, madame!
What did someone say about bonhomme?
Guillat, madame!
Wonderful. Any more questions?
3 times.
Go ahead. Yeah, that's you. Yeah.
What's your, like, if you've been, I'm assuming you've been here before. If so, what's your favorite, like, memory that you have of this place?
Well, I have a funny story about like a cousin of mine going to Crystal Palace for the first time. He was like the ring bearer in a wedding. This isn't my story, but I feel like this is a good answer anyway. My little cousin was a ring bearer in a wedding, and as a thank you, this is someone who just got married. I'm really impressed with this. Like they took this kid to like a theme, like an amusement park as a thank you. Classy move. So they take this like 6-year-old to Crystal Palace. He goes on rides all day. He comes home to his parents, and his parents said, "Joe, what was your favorite part about Crystal Palace?" And he goes, "I got to have just straight up chocolate milk." Now, Joe had many siblings, and in his house, the chocolate milk was cut with 2% milk to make it last across all the siblings. So the thing that stuck out to this kid was when he came back, he's like, "I just had the real shit." And I'm just imagining this kid's pupils dilating, having real Northumberland or Baxter, or whatever the fuck it was, for the first time, and it just going through his veins. You know, the giant swing, or the school bus, fuck that, no, it was the chocolate milk. So, I always thought that was really funny. I was a big Magic Mountain kid. I loved Magic Mountain. I was normally really scared of like everything rides-wise, but like for some reason water slides didn't scare me. The Kamikaze, that was my shit. I went down that fucking thing, no problem. Loved the wave pool. There was a restaurant, I think near, and I don't remember what it was called, but it was one of those restaurants I seem to remember, and I've gotten conflicting names to this restaurant over the years, but But it was one of those ones where you could take the shells of the peanuts and just fucking toss them. No, what? No, neither. See, this is what happens every fucking time. Nobody knows. And it might have been called a Slurpee Munch. That sounds the most correct. Was that near the park? Yeah, it was? And yeah. I thought you guys were saying yep. You're saying yeah. Yep, it was. Yep.
Inhale.
Let's do some more questions. This is fun. You guys are sick. Go ahead.
What's your sign?
I'm a Pisces. I do oppose in classic Pisces fashion. I post on my birthday every year, and I tell everyone it's my birthday. And every year I get the same reaction. Oh fuck! Of course you're a Pisces. And I don't really know what that means, but apparently I am like a cookie cutter of Pisces. So, do that, but you will. Go ahead.
Did you ever go to a splash dance?
No. What the hell is a splash dance?
Go! Do it! Give her the mic! Give her the mic!
Do you need the microphone for this?
Yes!
It's like something you do? Okay.
In the spotlight, do!
Okay, who here went to a splash dance?
Remember voodoo when someone got stabbed?
It was at night, and you got to go in like the lazy river and the wave pool, and it was a much music dance. It was a rave? It was a rave for 2 days.
It was hot!
I wish you could have gone. It was
We ruined it for a
I thought she was about to do like a dance. All right, round of applause for this young lady. Anybody else? Go ahead.
I've never met Crystal.
Haven't? Oh, did I meet Crystal like from Crystal Palace? I don't know. I feel like I've remembered, but well, yeah. I mean, we say everything was terrifying back then. How about the owl at Rainbow Valley? That just came out of the tree and spoke to you and was like, "Oh, nice red shirt you're wearing," and you were like, "What the fuck?" There was like a little camera and like some lady like behind a screen somewhere else.
John!
So that was terrifying. Also, cameras are omnipresent now, and at the time were not. So if I met Crystal, perhaps I did, but there's no picture evidence of that.
John.
Did I have ever met Angie? I'm not sure there is an Angie apparently. Yeah, there is an Angie, and she like was for a time the owner. Like Angie's was Angie's.
Her husband.
Her husband! Yes!
I met her. She's great.
What? You're just saying her husband?
Her husband owned it. She was Angie.
Oh, okay.
She's the first one.
Okay. Understood. Well, had enough of you guys.
She's super nice. She's Francophone.
Whose show is it, Evan?
Acadian.
Anybody other than Evan? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
What's your mother's maiden name and also the name of your first pet?
You trying to break into my bank account or some shit? We got a hacker in here, folks. My mother's maiden name is Kuglin. She's from St. John, New Brunswick. And I wish I had a picture of my dog, but I didn't have a dog until Montreal. I didn't have a pet growing up at all. I had two older sisters. We were pretty busy with extracurricular activities. But I got a little mutt named Gremlin. About 10 or 12 years ago. And if you follow the stories on my account, you've seen Gremlin. And you know that that's who I'm talking about because she looks like a gremlin. You guys have been the most amazing crowd ever. Thank you so much. Fucking let's go. there around 10 o'clock, I think. And so I hope to see all of you there at the coolest new bar in Moncton. Thank you so much, everybody.